What's going on, guys? Um, I'm in a somber mood this evening. I wish I could be coming at you with some greater stuff, but welcome to the Staincast, of course. We got a good episode, I hope. We're trying. We're doing our best here. We got a first time guest. Of course, it's me, DL, Steven, Hag, whatever you'd like to call him. But we
Come
got
on,
a new
guys.
guest on here, Olivia. What's going on?
Hello,
Welcome,
everybody.
welcome,
What's up?
welcome to the Staincast. I really wish this wasn't the first time you were coming on here for this episode. We could have filled you in on just about any other episode, but here we are. Thanks for popping out. Anyone who's watching this right now, I appreciate you wa- taking the fall with us because this is gonna be a rough
Yeah,
one. I'm just feeling it.
in case you guys didn't know, it's of course the end of Star Wars, the end of the theatrical Star Wars with the sequel trilogy. And if these past fucking 8 weeks haven't told you guys anything, DL and I do not like these movies at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
at all.
I mean, I even said it in the post I made on Instagram. It's like it's not a hot take to not like these movies, but it's just I don't know, man. There's something about it. Even watching. I watched Seven again, and it's like, ugh. And like for all the
I had to
greatness
turn
of
7
that
off.
movie, for all the great things that happen in that movie, it's like it just looms over me. I'm like, oh no, at nine, especially nine, like more specifically nine, like
Literally
for
just
like,
9.
there's a lot of hate that's going to be going on this episode, and that's why we brought in Olivia to kind of balance this out because it would just be us. It would be like the
Hating.
most vile, like,
Like,
it would be. I mean, you guys would probably want to see it, but I wouldn't want to be a part of it because that's too much hating for me. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of hating, but for the most part, for at least for me personally, it's really gonna go towards nine. Eight is just I don't even know what eight is. Like
look,
nine is
I've
I don't
been
know what
saying
any of
this.
them are to be
I've
honest
been
with
saying
you.
this for years, and when especially when 8 came out, or not when 8 came out, but like when 9 came out, 8 would have been conceived or considered better if 9 was good. It's just since 9 wasn't good, it also dragged 8 down even more. Because realistically, especially going through the trilogy like we or through the series like we did, 2 is fucking garbage, but it's brought up in that entire trilogy as it is because of 1 and 3. So
Mm-hmm.
if 8 had the same treatment that did and 7 and 9 were really good, then I think it would have been fine. But since we got the fucking dumpster shit fire that was The Rise of Skywalker, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's
episode
you got
7,
it.
it definitely goes downhill once you get to episode 8 and 9. I personally think episode 8 is fine. 9, I agree with you guys, but
Yeah, nine is something else, man. Nine is just like I mean, nine is peak them not knowing what the fuck they're doing. It's like it's one thing to um have very I mean, they also we have to bring up that they did switch directors halfway through. Like that's not something you want for any trilogy, no matter what genre it is. Like you don't want to be writing a trilogy and then just have it cut in half. Like, oh yeah, J.J. Abrams for 7, and then I'm not gonna say his name because I feel like it's gonna get everyone mad who's listening to this. Um, everyone knows who he is, and then we have J.J. Abrams coming back for 9. It's like
Well, originally it was going to be Colin Trevorrow, and like the script that got leaked was actually fucking comprehensible and good. But then they were just like Colin
it's just in
Trevorrow.
general. It's like even if the director's mid, I'd rather have a mid director for 3 movies than like decent directors that just get fucking like JJ. Like I mean, JJ Abrams is canceled now. There's a reason why he hasn't made movies since because that shit's
and
ass.
Awful,
9.
so bad.
has either of them even worked on a Star Wars project before this?
No.
No,
No,
absolutely
right?
not. JJ Abrams did Star Trek, so like
Yeah.
he had the credentials. I mean, a lot more so than I'm just gonna say his name, so I don't have to keep saying Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson was supposed to get his own trilogy that they announced that a couple years ago. Thank God that didn't happen.
I don't want anything to do with him. I still haven't watched Knives Out or Glass Onion for that reason, and I will never watch anything that he makes for that reason.
They're not bad. Like
Um,
I completely understand the hate. I understand why like people like are off him and want to boycott him because what he did, especially to Luke. But I
well,
mean, to me, it's like separating art from the artist. We're like, yeah, he's an asshole for what he did to Luke, and he really thought he was like the smartest man alive when he did it.
he
Uh,
still thinks he's the smartest man
oh
alive.
yeah, no, of course he thinks he's
He's a fucking
literally yeah he thinks he's the
it gets me
man.
even more tight because of how cocky he is about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he got paid very handsomely for that dog shit movie.
Oh,
So it's like it
absolutely.
kind of like messes up it's just weird because like you're getting paid a lot of money, but like you don't do a good job, so it's like I don't know.
Speaking of Luke,
Nah, man. Please, God, I don't even know how to translate it because like like we said, we're doing all three movies in this just because I don't think I can
I
like
couldn't do. I couldn't
physically,
do. I could not do three separate like hour
especially
and a
like
half
one on
episodes.
9. Like I feel like 9, like 8 would have just been probably quick and clean. I would have said what I didn't like, would have said what I liked. But like 9 is just it's so easy to hate on 9. I mean, even just in pop culture in general, it's super fucking easy to just. It's like what the prequels used to be. Am I saying
Even
yeah?
worse than what the prequels used to be.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I remember I saw that one meme one time where it's like the sequel trilogy is the greatest thing that ever happened to the prequels because like now everyone's like, wait a minute, these things are actually really good now because like just the juxtaposition where it's like everyone thought the prequels were too jokey, but at least they had a competent story. It's like, all right, they didn't take themselves seriously because George Lucas is just like,
A
I don't know.
clown.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he just doesn't take directing very seriously, which is fine. But then when you just see because they're trying to be serious in the sequel trilogy, and it's like,
It's
damn,
not. It's
it's
just
like you
none of the
can't.
story, none of the any like it just none of it made sense for what it needed to do. It wasn't comprehensive. I stand by that the Kylo at the end of 8 would not have turned good in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely not. I mean, it's. I
The
just.
amount of rage and dark side that he had inside of him, there is no way that anyone could have pulled him back to the light.
and
Especially not
and
that cropped together, deleted scene from 7 bullshit Leia that they had.
and after he just like killed Stoke and had that at his fingertips, like I agree with that. After going in episode 9, no way.
He should have been the final villain, not fucking bringing back goddamn Palpatine.
That's an all timer. Like I was just working today, and I was just that line was just played in my head, and I just started dying laughing. The person's telling me he's like, "What happened? Like, what's funny?" I'm like, "You like I can't even
Somehow
explain it to
Palpatine
you."
returned.
It's like it's so it's just ridiculous. Like I can't grasp the concept because like it's just been joked. It's been like memed and fucking ran through the mud so many times, so like it's kind of lost its meaning. But then when you really think about it, it's like, damn, they really got together with the smartest minds in Lucasfilms, and that's what they came up with. Like, damn, man, damn, like that's tough. That's
and it
really
really
bad.
and it really did come out of nowhere. Like there was absolutely no
Mm-hmm.
reason or lead up. Like you start episode 9, it's like Palpatine returned. Like
It's a different
okay,
movie. Like all
yeah,
three of those movies are different movies. Like it's wild. Like you have 8 at the end of 8, just like just finishing 8. You're like, all right, so the main villain is fucking dead. The main character is ridiculously unlikable, and the other main character can't decide if he's good or evil. It's like, and the side characters don't even get me started on the fucking Finn, Poe.
Rose.
Oh God, no. We don't even talk about her. But it's like, how are you 2 movies in? Like at the end, by the end of the second movie, these characters have gone nowhere. Like we still don't know what's the deal with Finn. What's his contribution? Like it was a cool idea turning a stormtrooper into a like a resistance fighter or whatever. I think that was pretty cool. But then they
He should
kind of
have been a
just
Jedi. He should have been a fucking Jedi.
I don't know, man.
And like that's what he was. It's been confirmed that what he was gonna tell Rey in the Rise of Skywalker when he was sinking in the pit, he was gonna tell her that he's force sensitive, and that's how it should have been. Like he should have been a fucking Jedi. It should have been if it was gonna be a dyad in the Force, it should have been him and Rey, not Rey and Kylo.
Yeah. I'm just super disillusioned with Star Wars after just thinking about this trilogy. Like I don't know, man. It's like when you grow up. Why is my father calling me? What the fuck, man? When you grow up, yeah, no, he's trying to chit chat. He's trying to shoot the shit. When you grow up like on Star Wars and you love it as much as me and Hag do, and I'm sure a lot of people do too. And it's like just watching what they did to this, what they did to this fucking franchise, man. It's so sad because it's not like it's like a one-off movie where it's like, oh, a director you like makes a shit movie, so it's like, oh, damn, that sucks. It's like the universe has to suffer too, like the entire Star Wars universe. Because now, whenever I watch a Star Wars project, I know what happens at the end. It's like this. It's literally exactly like Game of Thrones,
yeah.
where it's
And I
like
think
you watch it. Oh no, you're good.
that's one of the main reasons why I like these more than you two is because like growing up I did watch Star Wars, like my dad introduced me to it and all of that, but I really got into it myself when the sequels came out.
Hmm.
and so I think like I have a different like view on them than you because these kind of are what introduced me to Star Wars in more of a sense of like. Then I went back and watched all the other ones again.
Yeah.
So you guys having the knowledge of everything that you do, and then watching them, like I understand why you guys think differently than I do.
Fuck, what was I talking about? Oh, I was just talking about like like the problem with episode 9. Like, it's not even just like this. It's just everything about that movie is bad. Like the way it's told, the pacing, the characters, the culmination of two previous movies. It's like there was no like I feel like in a trilogy, like in the last movie, you should kind of be like, uh,
There should be a resolve,
and there should be like some sort of like bring back like original.
resolution.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell I want to say it. Like I feel like normally the third movie kind of brings it back to like where it started. Like where the third movie is kind of like brings a lot of stuff, brings characters, brings
It ties
plot
everything
back
up.
from the first movie in the trilogy. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
exactly. Like it's supposed to be
it
like the
ties
third
everything
movie is
up.
supposed to be like the neat bow where, but it didn't. So,
Right.
but basically a roundabout way of me saying that in a vacuum,
More of
like
that.
if you haven't watched the previous Star Wars movies, it's like yeah, it's like this is the Star Wars you know. It's like you said, like you how you saw it, and that's kind of like your first introduction to Star Wars. But when even growing up on the prequel trilogy, obviously I watched the OT as well, but it's just not even the same in the same ballpark for me. Like even watching it, I don't know. Even the characters' dynamics with each other. Like I know in Force Awakens, there's one scene when we can actually get into the more structured portion of this segment in a second. But there's one scene when Han Solo is shooting Chewie's bowcaster, and he's like, "I like this." It's like, bro, you've been with that man for 50 years. What the fuck are you
You've
talking
never
about?
shot it
It's
before.
just dynamic. It's little stuff like that where it's like it's funny. I'm not mad at him saying it. It's just more like if you're involved, like if you watch it as much as we have, it's more like this isn't what Han Solo would say. Like it's more of a nitpicky thing, but I can understand
Yeah,
the side.
but like even bringing back like with the character dynamics and stuff, like personally, me watching it, I don't feel like Han, Leia, or Luke like even wanted to be there. Like
No,
that's
no,
not
I
No,
have
seem
to.
like
they didn't.
yeah,
They
I know.
phoned all that shit in.
Right, like that's just that shouldn't be like if you're gonna bring back original characters into the sequels and really like target back on their stories and everything, like they should have done better.
Yeah, it's like even
Luke
when,
hates. I mean, Mark Hamill hates this trilogy.
but it's even when
Harrison Ford hates Star Wars in general.
when they meet Han, when Han just finds the Millennium Falcon for whatever the fuck reason in the first when he just finds it out of nowhere, whatever. He's like, "Oh yeah, I knew Luke." It's like this man destroyed two Death Stars with Luke. Like he didn't just know him. Like I don't know. Like, even the way he said it, it's like it just doesn't feel. And when him and like I don't know when him and Chewie are talking, he's like, "There's no like build up." Like when you talk with friends you've had over multiple years, you have so much inside jokes. You have so much just like built in. I don't know, just like like friends. I don't even really know how to describe besides that.
There's
And like
just a dynamic, a chemistry there that
hmm
you can't like explain.
and like they did it so well with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the prequel trilogy, which is why I'm so confused on why they had such a hard time doing it now. Like sure, obviously George Lucas isn't in the picture, but at the end of the day, it's like you still have so many people who worked under him. Like you have the whole studio still. Like just because the head of the studio is gone doesn't mean that the people who like kind of were
Kathleen
like
Kennedy literally looked
no, don't get me
like
started. Don't get me started on
well,
her.
but
No,
she
no.
worked under George Lucas.
Yeah, then she's trying to discredit everything he's fucking done.
I mean,
Literally, Ray is just the fucking antithesis of Luke. Get me fucking tight. Ugh. Now she's about to get her fucking the story Luke should have gotten.
the new Jedi
Nah.
Order.
Mm-hmm. Nah, bro. That's so slimy. She doing that to George Lucas. Like, I mean, like I respect it because like it's stupid. It's super slimy. It's like I'm sure she has her reasons for it, but damn, you can't do that.
But damn, that shit gets me tight.
Yeah. But like, who are some of your? We can go with you, Olivia. Who's your favorite character like throughout the entire trilogy, if you had one?
Hands down, Kylo. I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty
He's
easy
the
to
goat.
to determine.
He's like the
Yeah,
only character that they cared about developing at all.
yeah,
And even
and
then,
like,
he didn't even get fully developed.
I
So
just like Kylo because just his energy and rage at the beginning of the sequels. I like where he comes from. I like him being Ben Solo, and I like that he is the villain for the most part for these sequels, and rather than like I feel like you would think that he being Han and Leia's son would grow up with the Force and like something along the lines, but I definitely like him being dark and being evil.
Yeah.
as a character. Yeah.
As short lived as it was, I agree with you. Yeah, exactly. As like flippy as flip floppy as he go, like he
He
teeter
should have
totters
kept
it.
the mask on.
Yeah, I
No,
agree with you. I mean,
that's one of my.
it's difficult. Like this is why it's so hard to make like almost like shows that are better like done in like a book where it doesn't matter because you don't have an A-list actor underneath it or you're not paying him fucking millions of dollars. Like it's just a
Yeah.
tough. It's just like a weird conflict to be in where it's like, all right, yes, we want Kylo Ren to be the character, but we're paying Adam Driver millions of dollars to fucking wear this mask. He's like, all right, so like, where do you? Because
It's
I
just
agree too. Like, it would have been so much cooler if he kept his mask on until he saw Han Solo. I feel like that's when he should have taken it off.
that's
When
when he
he's
should have taken it
Ben.
off. And then he should have. I'm fine with him leaving it off for 8, but 9, especially if they wanted to keep him the villain and going into the dark side of Vader like he fucking wanted to and was talking about, then he should have had the helmet like melted to his face or like just stuck on in some way in 9.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I personally liked him taking off the helmet. That is one of my favorite scenes. I guess it could have been in a different spot because just being like a softie to Rey, like
Yeah.
taking it off then, I see.
You're just
But
trying to smooth talk her.
yeah, right. But that's one of my favorite scenes, him taking it off.
I mean, it's so cool. I love the helmet. I love the way his voice sounds. Like everything about, and that's why it's such a shame because, like you said before we recorded, Hag, I think, where it's like everything, like it's just. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with these movies, obviously, but like
That's saying something.
what the hell is the word I'm trying to think of? Like the sound effects are not one of them. Like when it just comes down to like the score. Like, Kylo's
The
theme is so
cinematography.
fucking tough. Like the way it's shot is like the angles are great. Like it's shot from a very good like perspectives at a lot of times, but that's kind of where it ends. Like that's where the good part of the trilogy ends, which is kind of a shame because Star Wars is so renowned for its action. Like it's big environments, big fucking all this stuff going on, but it's like half of what it was. Where Star Wars used to be like great action and great music. Now it's just great music. Like I love the music. I love the like I said, Kylo's voice. Like everything sounds so great, but it doesn't matter when
And
the
the CGI
dialogue
is
is
good too.
ass.
Like the modern day CGI, of course, Star Wars looks
Mm-hmm.
great in that.
Oh
But
yeah, like that lightsaber fight on the like in on Star Killer base when it was snowing at night. Like that shit looks literally perfect. It's so good.
it's just still it's so frustrating what they do to it's 9. It pisses me off.
I mean,
Yeah,
eight's not safe either. Not after what they did to
Kylo,
my boy Luke.
I mean, yeah. One of my favorite
Kylo
scenes from the
dying at
sequel
the
so
end
far
of
is the
9 for a love story.
Oh, don't no.
Damn, hey, you know. Don't worry, Liv. You'll get it out. I agree with you though. It was the most shoehorned in, unnecessary. Because I remember when I was watching it, and first of all, what the fuck is even going on when like he dies and she dies and then whatever the hell? It's like some Romeo and Juliet type shit. And then they start looking at each other. I'm like, they better fucking kiss. And then they kiss. I'm like, it's like where, when?
Me and you saw that opening night. And we just looked at each other. And we just started fucking dying laughing.
It's like the most Disney thing. It's like people always complain that Disney puts their touch on all the products and the projects, and that's it. Like that is, it doesn't get any more clear than that. Like them needing a romance story, and there was never there. Like what? Because they were talking to each other. It's like I don't know, man. There was no chemistry, like no romantic chemistry between two of them. Like sure, like just based on this, like kind of like rivals. Like it was fine. Like him and Ray were whatever. I mean, she doesn't lose, so there's not much of a rivalry you can have. But for what was there, it wasn't bad. But romantic chemistry?
None.
It's like when?
Zero.
And not even in 9. Like there wasn't even anything in 9. There'd be one thing of like, all right, he just dedicated all of 9 to trying to make that dynamic, but it was just out of fucking nowhere. And then that shot of Ray being dead. I love the way her fucking eyes still twitching or whatever. It's like, come on, man.
But
They mad care.
even what you're saying with like him, like Ray stabbing him with a lightsaber and then healing him, and then later on, like he exchanges his life for hers, whatever. But like, what were they fighting for the whole time? If like you're just gonna do what you wanted with fighting, and then you're just gonna save him right away, just because Leia like died, like you know what I mean? Like, what's the whole point
Yeah,
in it?
because they have no idea
Because
what they wanted to do. That they've literally come out and say that they had no idea what they were doing for 9. Like 9, they probably made the story for 9 like while they were filming it. Like while they were filming it. Like I believe it because it's a chopped up mess.
They
There's
don't.
characters just
Like
being
Leia.
introduced and exiting. Like
Leia literally, like, Carrie Fisher was dead by this point for like 2 years, and they still fucking chopped up deleted scenes. Like, that's a massacre to her, like, her legacy, and like,
Yeah,
I hate that they did that.
yeah. It's like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in this case. Where like that's just tough luck. Where you kill a guy who's still alive, but then the person you keep alive, they unfortunately pass away in real life. Like that's just tough. Like you can't do anything about that. Like it's the
Yeah,
same situation with Chadwick Boseman, where it's like there's no right answer. But the way that they did it, I agree with you. Where you just have Ray in the beginning of 9, Leia in the beginning of 9, which is like Ray, just keep using the same sound bite. It's like stop. Like it makes it even worse. It's like we ended like I
never
don't know.
underestimate a droid.
Oh yeah, throwaway ass line. Literally a throwaway ass line. It's like, come on, man. It's like I get that like she needs some sort of like encouragement, but I don't know.
That ain't it.
No, especially when we never see. I hate that they tried so hard to make Leia like this fucking Force user. Like, oh, she trained with Luke. It's like just because you put it in the movie, what like 10 minutes before you say it's true, doesn't mean it's true. Like just because you're like, oh, flashback time, she trained. Oh, that CGI looked terrible, by the way. If her fucking face in the
Yeah.
helmet looked like ass, but well, flashback time, she used to train with Luke. Now she can fucking levitate in space and not breathe oxygen. Like, uh, I mean, I think
And
my biggest
forceful herself to the.
nah, the biggest gripe is just the Force is it's a plot device now. Like it's everything that George Lucas didn't want it to be. It's like it's not supposed to be this. Oh, we've written ourselves into a corner. Someone's going to use the Force and get out of it. That's cheap
That's
and just
easy.
stupid storytelling. Yeah, exactly. It's just terrible storytelling. It's like it's elementary. It's like oh shit, we don't know what to do. And I feel like that's kind of all of the conflicts in throughout the trilogy. It's just so like just in time resolutions. I don't even know what the correct way to say it. Where they're going to be screwed if this one person doesn't pull up at this time to save them. Like I feel like that happens so much in 8 and 9, where it's like, oh, they have their back against the wall. We don't know what's going to happen. Oh wait a minute, someone's going to come in and
Someone
save them.
come
It's
right
like
on time.
it's like
They got
every
Chewie.
it's like it's trope like it's that's in every movie. That's fun. Nah, fuck off with that. In every movie, like every movie has that one scene where it's like, oh yeah, like their backs against the wall and someone saves them last second. But when it happens like multiple times in a movie, it just becomes so noticeable. Where it's like, oh god, who's gonna save them this time? Like at that end battle at 9, at the end of 9, where it's like, oh, there's more of us. It's like, oh wow, I didn't see that one coming. And like it could have been cool. Like, it could have actually been interesting,
The rebels.
but they just can't help themselves. Like big battles like that are just so played out now. Like Endgame kind of just took all of the soul from that stuff. Like Endgame was a great job. I'm not saying it's not, but like Endgame took all of like what a scene should be, and now I'm just so used to it. Where it's like, all right, I'm expecting an Endgame level like final battle,
Well,
but then we just have a whole bunch of ships just sitting there doing nothing. Like
you also have that bullshit that is fucking the end of it, where Palpatine's like, "I am all the Sith," and then Rey's like, "I am all the Jedi," like fucking ripping off Tony Stark. Like that is literally just ripping off Endgame.
but I don't understand because he told her that if she kills him, he's gonna fucking take over or whatever it is. He'll take over by something. But then she kills him and nothing happens.
Yes,
It's like I don't understand. Like literally, the whole ultimatum was that it's like you kill me. I want you to do it. So then she does it, and then nothing happens. Like it's like
What
holy
does it matter?
storytelling. And Palpatine's literally God only knows how old Palpatine is at this point, and he's still getting lightning reflected at him.
He didn't learn from fucking Mace.
And bro, he's not alive, man. Like we gotta stop fucking entertaining this. Actually, what am I talking about? He's not alive. The man got tossed into the pit of a Death Star that exploded. It's like
Mad
Star Wars
alive.
just yeah, exactly. It's like
Ruining
look,
fucking both Luke and Anakin's legacy.
nah, no, exactly. In one foul swoop too. Like that's wild.
Calling
Have Luke get
Anakin Saber's Ray Saber gets me so
finding Anakin
fucking
Saber. A
hyped.
good question for another time.
Never answered. It was answered in a comic.
No, and I'm sure it's bullshit. I'm sure it's
It,
fucking bullshit.
no comment.
Yeah, because it is. Because you can't
Well,
explain something like that. They
a
got
force
lost in
ghost
Sky
catches it.
City.
A force ghost catches it. That's when I got off that story.
Well,
I have nothing
aren't
to
there a
say.
lot of things in this that are answered in other places? Like, I think Steven, me and you talked about it. Like Poe knowing how to light speed
Yes,
skip.
yes, there fucking is.
Yeah, because and then
I
I'm
forgot about
blinking.
that.
I'm blanking on her name right now, but the woman that they meet in episode 9 that Poe has relations with.
Zari or whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah, and like, there's no explanation on her. Like, I to this day have no idea who she is.
That comes from a book. They
Yeah,
meet.
right. So
Yep, that's all. That entire backstory is in a book.
That's
like,
massive.
how are we supposed to know that?
Because this is something that I praised the other two trilogies for, was having stuff that can be built off of and brought into other media, and this is the exact opposite way of how to do that, because they took their opportunity to bring bare bones stuff and then make more money off of explaining the important stuff in other material. When in the other stuff, I can read the Thrawn trilogy and not need to know anything that happens in the OT, and I can watch the OT and not need to know anything that happens in this, because it's just an extra. And the way that they dealt with the sequels is everything needed to be explained in an extra form of media, because they just refused or didn't have time, or just didn't properly develop these characters, or
because they didn't know what they were doing. It's so
exactly,
it's real easy to make something and be like, all right, this isn't good, and then a couple months later put out a book and be like, this is what it should have been. Like, why wasn't it like that from the start then? It's called, you guys have fucking your due dates that are ridiculous, and you have to put these movies out. It's too commercial now.
yeah,
It's the
'cause
same problem with Marvel.
they're afraid to like delay shit.
It's like when you're under the umbrella of a company like Disney, it's like it's just so it's a bureaucracy. Like it's so automated where it's like people are so high up who have never even probably seen Star Wars are like, all right, I need a Star Wars movie done by this date. It's like, at what fucking right do you have to know when a Star Wars movie needs to be finished or what needs to be done with it? And you have, I'm sure there was probably a whole group of people who needed to have their ideas thrown in on what the Force can do. Because I remember I saw like a behind the scenes thing of Kathleen Kennedy. She's like, what can we make the Force do? It's like, you really think you're fucking smart? Like, you really think that she really thinks that she knows what she's talking about? And it's obviously hubris. Like, they don't want to give it to anybody else. But I mean, at what point do you start hiring people who actually know Star Wars to write movies? Like, that's all I want to know. It's like, it's so obvious.
We're finally getting that with the Dawn of the Jedi and the Dave Filoni films that we're getting.
Yeah. It's just a damn shame because like I just can't watch Mandalorian. Like I enjoy Mandalorian, but I just can't watch it knowing that they're setting up this fucking Emperor cloning thing. It's like, fuck off with that. Stop reminding me. Stop reminding me that the sequel trilogy exists. Like, it should have just been, as soon as that shit came out, they should have contained it and just been like, you know what, those movies exist, but they just don't say anything. They make the movies exist, but
I think the Mandalorian is having some to do with, like, but very minimum. It's going to deal more with the Thrawn aspect of it once it gets to season 4. Once Ahsoka hits and we see Thrawn, you'll realize where the Mando story is going, and it's not the Palpatine cloning route. That's just got mentioned because all of these guys are in, like, the Shadow Council exists, and they're all trying to resurrect the Empire. It's just they're all still Imperials and all still have so much hubris about themselves that they all think that they can be better themselves and build a better empire by themselves, which is why Hux is doing Necromancer with cloning Palpatine, which is why Gideon's doing his shit, which is why there's all these different fucking plans and shit, because they all have too much hubris to actually work together, that they all have to do their shit separately.
How about Hux? We haven't talked about him yet. How about Hux?
I'm the spy.
It's like a man who literally was on his Adolf Hitler shit, cooking up that speech to the fucking First Order. Literally, first of all, that was a great looking scene. Like I love the imagery. They do such a great job with that, making them literally Nazis. That's great. But then the fucking 180 to be like, no, just because I don't agree with Kylo Ren, which is fine, I'm gonna turn to the fucking rebellion or the resistance.
I don't want
it's
you
fucking
to win.
wild.
I just need Kylo Ren to lose.
Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Talk about means not justifying the ends. It's like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Shot. And then he gets like fucking shot instantly when he gets found out.
I mean, because that was perfectly described as character. It's like they just didn't know what to do. Like, they reached rock bottom with all of the characters, and they're like, "Fuck, what are we gonna do? This is the third movie. These characters are supposed to be finishing their arcs right now, and they don't even have one. It's like, what the hell do we do?" And they're like, "Just start killing them." You know. I mean, it's honestly better than. I wish they would have just. No, I was gonna say I wish they would have just killed Luke fucking in the beginning of 8, but There's no way they would have done that properly. So
But
Like,
you know, they build up Luke to be this big ass like mystery
no.
like thing in
And then he
7,
tosses the
and then
lightsaber. Like,
he
fuck
tosses it right over his
off.
fucking shoulder.
You're gonna say something, Olivia?
yeah, about General Hux. Like, I feel like him only being like the spy is just so they had the very small explanation of all the stuff that they were able to do with getting on the ships. Besides Finn being the stormtrooper and knowing everything apparently, but
Yeah.
that's like the only explanation for him being there, because it's like all of the unrealistic stuff that they were able to do getting on the ship and getting away with.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah,
And
but
I just love in 7 how fast they cook it up. It's like, all right, here's a planet that's literally been modified to a fucking massive laser.
literally
It's got
ill,
to have
like
a thermal.
literally ill.
It's got to have a thermal oscillator. It's like, and then they find it immediately. It's like, all right, I'm all fine with them using the same ploy they used to destroy the Death Star. Fine. But they found it immediately. It's like, it's just because they made it harder to destroy. It's like, oh, we're still not doing enough damage to it. Come on, man, semantics. Like, it's the exact same fucking plot. Rolled into a ball and called a planet instead of a fucking space station.
Yeah,
Like,
seven is literally just 4 light, and then it has an awful
and
ending.
5 and 8, it's literally, I said this before. I don't know why you'd watch the sequel trilogy when the OT is the sequel trilogy, but infinitely better. It's fucking shot for shot, especially 9, 8. The chase, the fucking, like, I mean, the only thing it's not similar on is Rey never losing. Like, Luke actually, has some fucking conflict and actually gets his
Yeah,
ass beat by Vader in 5.
yeah.
But
But I guess speaking of, we'll tap into a little bit of good. We'll finally stop hating for a minute. We'll go into the very few things that we actually like about this. Which, for me, one of my favorite scenes in the sequels is Luke chatting about the Jedi being wrong. I just
it's
think that
tough,
Luke
but it
Luke
just ain't
shouldn't
Luke
have been the one
saying
who
it.
said. I was like, Luke shouldn't have been the one who said it. However, what he's chatting about is so tough.
Yeah, it's in universe. It's in universe content is never Star Wars' weakness. Their shortcoming is never not having a story to tell. It's just how they fucking tell it. It's like I agree with you. I think it was really cool talking about like literally the legacy of the Jedi is ego or whatever it is. 100%. It's 100% true, but I don't know if the man who, in the absence of all evidence, was convinced that his father was still good. Literally saw what he did, knows what he is. The man is a killing machine. Obi-Wan told him, fuck that. He's a fucking machine. Yoda's like, nah, fuck that. And he's like, nah, fuck you guys. He's still good in him. And then somehow manages to beat the Emperor and Darth Vader, two of the strongest Sith ever, and is like,
On the
Kylo's having
contrary,
bad dreams. He's gotta go. Fuck off.
yeah, I mean, I think
Fuck
that was
off.
yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with him being like, "Oh yeah, let me read into Kylo's having these mini bad dreams," but like I do understand why he would say like the Jedi are wrong, because he realized like no matter
Mm-hmm.
what, you can't stop the dark, like the pull to the
Yeah.
dark. The more that you try to stop it, the more that you're actually going to create it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he even
Um,
said like it was one of his in that scene is it was the Jedi who were responsible for the creation and training of Darth Vader. Like he even said
Mm-hmm.
that himself,
yeah,
and yeah, so he fully understands that there's no good without bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like even like all the fucking like even the Force Temple, like it had a dark side part of it. Like it had like the island was like where the
every place
whatever.
does.
Yeah, exactly. It always has the opposites. Even the place that Yoda was on, Dagobah, it had its dark side spot. I mean, it was mostly dark side, I think it is. But regardless, it's the balance. But my issue is that they shouldn't have killed fucking Luke in the same movie. That like it just takes away all value of what he says. Because I want to love that scene because he honestly makes sense. Where it's like, oh, when he was trying to explain the whole thing with Kyle, it's like it's because I was Luke Skywalker. It's because I am a bigger than life figure. Because I mean, this man is literally responsible for destroying the Sith. I mean, destroying he didn't, but in my head canon, he destroyed the Sith. So it's like obviously that's a pretty big um, reputation to have. Like you can't live up to that. So it
Yeah.
makes sense on why like he kind of had a crisis of faith and maybe did something to Kylo. But I'm just not convinced on the whole pulling your lightsaber on him when he's sleeping. Like that's kind of fucking
And then they try to
wild.
retcon it in 9 with having like the different point of views and
Yeah, it's like I don't know, man. I mean, well, I'm trying to think of what else I like. I'm really going to be talking a lot about 7 because that's what I like the most. remember stuff from 8 and 9, I'll be sure to include it. But I mean, that shot of Kylo when the Starkiller base is shooting, and you have like that behind the like the shot behind the back of him when you see like the laser going
The
from.
red laser going
That
across.
shit's hard. That shit's so hard. Like,
But what about Yoda in 8?
I mean, God bless Papa Yoda. First and foremost, I will say it. Papa Yoda goated. I got. It's just. It's so hard because the movie's not good. So
It's not. It's really
it's.
not.
I want to appreciate it, but it's just so difficult to appreciate something
It's god awful.
when it's a character assassination where it's like just because Luke says like he should have been like that for the entire movie. Like there shouldn't be one scene where Luke is actually making sense. He should be making sense the entire movie. It's and Spoke was saying it. It's like how is I mean and I kind of put my 2 cents into it too. It's like Luke has literally been trained by fucking Yoda, and he lived like his entire life as a Jedi, and he's just got nothing to fucking help Rey with. It's like, how does he just know nothing? Like, how do you just know nothing? Like, you've lived your entire life. You were responsible for, like I said, destroying one of the strongest Sith Lords of all time, and you got trained from Grandmaster Yoda, and you got nothing to say. He's sucking on fucking cow teats. It's like, this ain't Luke. This ain't Luke, man. This isn't him.
No,
It
is.
just makes
It's
me
him.
upset. It because the worst part is I think that's what gets me so tight about 8 is that it has flashes of being a good movie. It's like okay, I can get down with this. I could watch this, and then they just take it away from you. Where it's like oh, here's Rey fucking doing some ridiculous shit, or here's Luke dying, making himself a force projection. It's like come on, because I do
Yeah,
like that scene. I love that scene when Kylo's fucking dumping the clip on him. He's like, I want
More,
every gun to fire on that man. Like
more.
it's good. Like it's really fucking good. But then they just have to ruin it by fucking Luke dying. Like what the fuck?
yeah, but if you think about it, like the whole point of what we're saying is he lost his touch with the Force and is hating on the Jedi, right? But then when it came down to the end, like he literally killed himself for the Resistance.
Okay. Why are they the resistance, by the way? I don't understand that. Like, how? Why are you like the rebels made sense when it was the Empire because the Empire was in control. But if the Republic's in control, you're not the resistance. You're just the Republic. That's what I don't get. Tag,
Um,
do you have an answer to that?
um,
It doesn't make sense. It's like it's one
so
thing if you're if
so because the New Republic is fucking garbage, and you could see in the Mandalorian and in other books is the New Republic doesn't know how to fucking run like at all. So I think they're just third parties,
okay.
kind of like how the rebels were. They're not part of the New Republic they're not part of the Empire or whatever. Like they're just their own thing.
No, but like it made sense when they're the rebels because like obviously they're rebelling from the Empire. But like when the system in charge is your values, why are you the
Because the
fucking
First Order was
resistance?
taking over as well. The
Okay.
First Order had control of parts of the galaxy. It's just then they were taking control of all of the galaxy.
Mm. It would have been pretty funny if they destroyed Coruscant. Like I know they didn't. They destroyed like the whatever. They said what system it was, and we never
The
even figured it
Ilenium
out.
system? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think that was it. Was something like that. I just wished I don't know. I just wish there were more stakes in these movies. Like there's no point where it's like, oh my goodness, the future of Star Wars is in the balance or something. Man, no, there isn't. Like they just played
These
it
movies are
so
awful.
safe for a movie, especially when you have a story to be told at basically the end of the Star Wars timeline. Like there's not a like a surplus of stuff that's happening after the sequels in like Star Wars canon. So it's like you tell the end of the story, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, they did, and it wasn't good, but like when you're telling the end of the story, you can kind of do whatever you want because there is no when you're telling it from the beginning, you don't have to worry about continuity because it's the end of the fucking story. And they still played it so safe with, I mean, whatever the hell fucking. And then you have Phasma too. She's part of that. I don't even know
Phasma is
what.
so fucking useless, bro.
There's
And she
so
has
many
the potential
characters
of
that are
being
just.
cool.
It's just wild to me how you can have characters like Oscar Isaac, who is a fucking Grammy nominated actor, or whatever it
He's a
is.
phenomenal actor.
He's a fucking amazing actor, and then you just have him in this role, and he does nothing, and then you put him in something like Moon Knight, and it's like, all right, this is the leading man. Like he should be a leading man. Like
Nah, Ray.
they just needed the spotlight on Ray at all times because Finn did nothing with him. I don't even like. I don't know, man. what else do I got? Do I have anything? I'm trying to stay positive here, guys, but it's not working.
Yeah, Olivia,
It's not working.
you bring some positivity. Talk
Yeah,
about
so what do you like about like what's some of your favorite like scenes or character? I mean, we already said characters, but
yeah, your favorite scenes. Your fucking
Okay,
I
one
don't
of
know.
my favorite scenes that always sticks out to me is Rey and Kylo teaming together to kill Snoke. I, are we doing quotes separate time? Because
You could whatever
what?
you want.
Okay,
yeah, it's
because
kind of like a mix up.
um, Snoke saying, "I see him turning the lightsaber to strike true, and now, foolish child, he ignites it and kills his true enemy." When he kills Snoke, and then they team together, it is a good scene. I love that scene. It really shows their teamwork, which I know that you guys don't like their relationship all too much, but I like the development there in that
That's
scene.
also just a mad good choreographed scene. Like
Yeah,
we've broken
it's
that down like so much. Like
yeah.
fucking,
The
I
slow
remember just
motion to
being at
start.
DL's house. Yeah, like seeing like like us pausing it with like Ray kicking away 3 fucking guards and shit. Like
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that one's one of my favorites.
Because Andy Serkis is tough. Like as Snoke, he's fucking dummy nice. Like he does a fantastic job. He should have been the villain in the final movie. I don't know why he wasn't. Like you have Andy Serkis, literally the goat of fucking
motion capture.
of motion capture at your disposal, and you're like,
Nah,
I
he
don't
could.
know. I mean, classic Ryan Johnson being like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a movie that really has them scratching their heads." It's like, bro, you just ruined the fucking trilogy, man. Like, you ain't nobody scratching their head. Like, there's
We're just
no
getting hype.
business. Like, Snoke should have never. I just don't know why they killed him. Like, that's the thing I can't wrap my head around with 8. I can wrap my head around, like you said, like I'm not mad at Luke meeting his end because it's like the whole point of this trilogy is that there's new people. Like you're entering Solo's dying, Leia's dying. Like you're getting rid of all the old talent because you got to usher in the new. I get that.
At Lando.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give Leia my love. It's so hideous. It's just the way that they do it. Like it's just not faithful to the character. Like you got to have. Just they'll never rub me the right way. Like I understand what you're saying about Luke like sacrificing stuff for the Resistance, but him just being like "see you around, kid," and then fucking dying makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know,
Not using his
and if,
green super like ever.
I don't even know like what the limitations are or something like that. Because like it's the only time we see like a force projection that fucking strong. Like normally it's like I feel like they like talk to each other. They don't have an actual physical like
Yeah, projecting that like that.
yeah. What's another fucking I mean, what else? Did you have anything else that you liked, Olivia? I could literally just be hating all day, and I don't want to.
um, I liked the reunite Luke and R2D2 reuniting, and then
Yeah.
That was a good
R2D2
scene.
showing Leia's message, just homing back on that original story. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
One of the few good scenes. Again, another good scene from 8. I will say 8 had some good
It has
scenes, but
flashes.
yeah,
that entire B plot that had to deal with this lovely planet of Canto Bight gets me so tight. So tight.
And that literal chase, like that them just being chased by the fucking Star Destroyer for eternity, for literally the entire fucking movie. It's like, come on. I will say that one shot is really fire though, of her going light
The
speed through the
hold
Star
maneuver.
Destroyer.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
shit's hard.
That shit
I
looks
fuck.
nice. Like the science aspect of it behind, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I don't
It's
give a
Star
fuck.
Wars. I don't give
Yeah,
a
it's
fuck. It's
Star Wars.
Star
It looks
Wars.
cool. It looks cool.
We're out here saying parsecs is a unit of time. I don't give a fuck. Like it doesn't matter. It don't
It
mean
looks cool,
anything.
and that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have nothing like no good things to say about this movie. These movies. Uh, do we have any like thirsty moments? Anybody?
yeah.
Yeah, Ben Swolo.
Yeah, I mean, they're all Kylo. I mean, come on now. There's
Yeah.
like
The camera angle is just so wrong. Like I don't know why they did him like that. Like he
He's
looks
looking
like he's
swole.
not a bad looking guy, but he looks like a fucking like a Sasquatch. Like he looks terrible. Like because they have like the super tight like thing around his waist, and then all of a sudden he's just super wide up top. It's like why does he look like that? He looks like a fucking refrigerator. Like
the
it's
high
not right.
waisted pants. And that
Yeah,
scene's
exactly.
even
It's like
more.
what is going on?
That scene's even funnier because he's like force talking to Ray, and he just like turns around, and she's literally like, "Can you put a shirt on?" or whatever she says. Like,
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
so weird.
Yeah, I mean, anything really Kylo taking off his helmet, him smashing the helmet in the elevator. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
The rage.
Yeah, I love his rage scenes from 7 when like he's literally
when
just
he's
fucking
cutting up the chair when she escapes.
yeah, the guards, and they fucking run away because like fuck that. And then when he's like telling him like the droid stole a freighter, he's like they had help, and he just starts fucking slicing that shit up. He had a girl, and he fucking grabbed like it's. Oh,
So good,
God, man.
so good. It had the potential. Something else I wanna have you add in here, DL. I just made a mark of it to remind you in editing. But that most ridiculous scene in episode 9, when that fucking TIE fighter gets smoked and Kylo Ren just comes walking out unscathed
Oh my
from
God,
this
man.
flaming ball that is this TIE fighter. just perfectly posted, just walking out, no helmet, lightsaber out.
I just don't understand. What's his plan? Like, what was his plan? He's just gonna
To get
drive at her
you.
menacingly?
They
But,
got
like,
you
why was he just flying at her menacingly?
to
It's
get
like,
that cool shot of her jumping over and cutting the fucking TIE
it's
fighter
like
for the trailer that
these,
they
like,
literally played in every single trailer.
But like, how
it's
did
a
she even
fucking
do
TIE
that?
fighter. But like, it's a TIE fighter. It's a spaceship. It's like if this thing can. I mean, I think they make TIE fighters go light speed in this movie for whatever the fuck reason. But like,
They do.
so let's go with that, right? Something that can go light speed is gonna give her enough time to jump over. Like, obviously he's not going light speed. Like, it has that kind of like level of I don't know. Like he's going like 100 miles per hour when it's a fucking spaceship. It's like it doesn't make sense. It's like if you're driving a car at her, okay, maybe she jumps over it, but it's a fucking spaceship. It's like, how are you? Like, why are you just duck? Like,
It's like
why you jump?
it's like the whole thing of them, like, I guess that's them hinting at the relationship of who they are, because it's like they had so many options and opportunities in this movie to just kill each other. Like, to be
Yeah,
honest, and it's like they're just toy with each other the whole time.
yeah.
I will say the one like interesting scene from 9 is when they're having that lightsaber battle between the force projections, like when she's on Kylo's ship and Kylo's on the planet, and they're having like the interactions between like that. I think is cool, and that concept behind it is cool, but just literally everything else behind that movie and the storytelling and everything that happens in it is garbage.
Yeah, like the Knights of Ren. Goodbye. Literally just get pieced up by one man.
Useful ass fucking
Yeah,
characters.
mad with him. I'm sure that would definitely happen. But I mean, what else? Like Palpatine returning. It's
How
just
do
so
you
wild,
guys?
man.
I have been every voice that you have ever heard inside your head.
Kill Snoke. I'll kill you.
What could you do?
But,
How how do you guys feel about like the comedy of this movie? Because it's obviously a little bit
No.
like,
They fly
yeah.
now?
it's hard to say because I don't like the movie. So of course I'm going to already just offer it be pissed off at anything that happens. It's just I can say for certain like if it had a
Too
good story,
clean.
I probably would exactly. I might find it maybe more enjoyable if I liked the story that was being told in front of it. But when you're watching, because like you have to keep in mind, like for anyone who doesn't know, like if I didn't watch 9 recently, but if I watched 9, I would have the hating goggles. I would have the hating like fuck. I would just literally everything I see, I'd just be hating it. Like you could be in that mood watching a movie where if you don't want to watch it, you're just like, all right, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Like where you should just be suspension of disbelief. You're watching a fantasy movie. You shouldn't care. But I just don't like it so much where I'm going to fucking nitpick, and it's gonna make it so where there's some. I mean, the beginning scene where Kylo pulls up on Palpatine, it's good. I actually enjoy that, but it's really about it. Like the comedy was, I don't really remember the comedy that much. Obviously, that throwaway line of "they fly now," that's fucking
I don't know
ridiculous.
how I feel about them calling back to the dark side of the force as a pathway to many abilities that some
I mean,
use
they literally were reaching. They were fucking reaching. Like they wrote themselves into a corner. They're like, fuck it. Let's say the most ambiguous fucking quote imaginable. The dark side of the force is a pathway to many abilities. Like, yeah, you could literally mean whatever you want it to mean. It means nothing.
Yeah,
And
but
it's like,
like
fuck
they
it. We'll
did that
toss it.
right from episode 3, and I'm like, why? Why?
Because they can't do it. Because they don't know what to do. They literally have no idea what they're doing.
We probably should get to the question of the week though, because we've been chatting for a minute.
Sure.
Just have some sort of structure. You know,
I
get
got
to the.
I got
already
so
said
many
a
it's just from 7.
I'm excited to hear. I can guess probably.
There's a lot of hate.
That's a shame too, because I'm not trying to fucking just be hating, but it's just too easy. It's like I'd rather be positive because this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Like it's in that conversation, and just to see, it's almost perfect how well they just destroy every character I like. Like it's wild. Like how you can turn Anakin and Luke to a bunch of fucking wusses in a movie, in one movie, 2 movies if you want to count 9, but 8 kind of seals it up for me. It's just as soon as you have Luke tossing Anakin's lightsaber, it immediately is like, all right, it's red flag city. This ain't Luke. This ain't the man who.
No.
No.
But of course, as usual, every week, every Saturday-ish, we take over to the Staincast or take over to Instagram at the Staincast to ask you guys a lovely question. This week, we asked you guys your favorite and least favorite things about the trilogy, and you all gave us your least favorite things about the trilogy because I honestly expected nothing less. So, we have lots of responses, lots of stuff to go through, lots of hate, as I said earlier. So the first response was from Mr. Willie Banks, a guest on the Staincast, someone who's been on here many times before. He says that he likes the new special effects, but the story is a shitty repeat. Which I mean, yeah. Mr. Maxwell, he says that he likes the Force Awakens, but most of the Last Jedi, but the Rise of Skywalker is the worst movie ever made. I can agree with that as well. RP24, not to be confused with Chet Stable, said, they fly now? They fly now.
They fly now. Just in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah. Father Queel said that he likes 7 a lot, actually even still now, but 8 and 9 are an active threat to his own existence, and that they're like a CIA trigger, but instead of committing horrible crimes, he ends his own life. I appreciate the well response.
That's very adequately and eloquently describes kind of how I feel about it too.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't like 7 as much as when I watched it again, but it's also under the same goggles of where I said where I'm watching the sequel trilogy, I'm just hating. Like it's a shame.
Yeah. The kid said the CGI is great, but everything else is mid at best. I could say a little more than mid for some things of it, but yeah, he's not wrong. Mr. Moist said character assassination and Disney refusing to write a good female lead and making it a love story for absolutely no reason, which is pretty true.
Right on the nail.
And DL, I'll let you list off this last one. This last 3 entry from Smoke. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Smoke were chatting about this for like an hour last night. So Smoke's answer is Ryan Johnson, J.J. Abrams, the character assassination of Luke, Rey winning at everything, Poe being a clueless moron, Finn being a waste of time, Rose and Captain Phasma useful, somehow Palpatine returned, Rey Skywalker, this trilogy exists. That's all the things that he did not like, for anyone who was wondering.
I think I can agree with pretty much every single one of those.
The Rey Skywalker thing is just a bad joke. Like I just like did you like that, Olivia? Were you like, damn, I'm cat?
I don't know.
Someone who literally pantsed Luke. She pantsed Luke, has no relation to the Skywalker name, and it's like, I'm gonna take his name now. I'm gonna fucking pants him on fucking an international fucking forum and just take his name.
Yeah, it's hard because obviously she's not gonna say Palpatine. Like, I know that was the whole point, but it's tough. I don't really know if I like her saying it, but I like her, I guess, just relation with it. Like her being the next Jedi and going over the battle that she had of finding out she is a Palpatine and she has that level of dark force in her and still getting over it.
I just can't. I hear Ray Palpatine, and I can't. I can't keep a
Yeah.
straight face. It's so stupid. Like
when that dude told me in chat that he got chills when Ray said Skywalker, I wanted to throw hands with him on fucking sight. Like that was like that. As soon as he said that, I needed to know everything about him as a
you
person, and I
can't.
didn't care
You
about like that
can't.
was like I that one
And them
got me
just
tight.
watching over her, just her just looking over, seeing them. Like, come on.
Mad there, Leia.
Yeah, and Han Solo being a Force ghost. That's
No,
probably
he
got to be
wasn't a
like
force
top
ghost.
three.
He wasn't a force ghost. He was just a projection of fucking Kylo's imagination. I don't even know, but he wasn't a force ghost.
I mean, he doesn't even know what a Force ghost is, so
He
But
doesn't
the
even
thing,
know
like
how would
what
he know?
that's
that
not how
being the
the
turning
force
point,
works.
and like that scene being the turning point of Kylo, like he literally killed his dad. I don't think that Han Solo
Yeah,
coming back is gonna change any way of thinking for him. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher was dead, so they couldn't use her.
it's
Yeah.
just wild. Like I completely agree with you. It's like I just don't see the redemption. It's like he chose to kill his father. He needed that off him. Like he was literally the happiest. He was like a kid in the candy shop when he shanked fucking Solo with his fucking lightsaber in 7. He's like, "Thank you." Like he needed that. And then he's just like, "Oh, I need you back, pops." It's like, "Bro, clearly you fucking hated him. Like there's a reason why you turned evil and like just killed all of the Jedi." Like I don't know, man. There has to be more like their their actions just and their words just don't match up a lot, especially Kylo, where like he'll do something so vile, but then he'll just be like so like nice to Rey or something. It's like I just don't see the it just doesn't match. That's the best
I
way I can
hate
say
those
it. Like
movies.
the characters' intentions just don't match what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I honestly have no more to say before I just go into a circle about hating. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I have like, okay, so episode 3 was released in 2005, right?
Yeah.
And then Force Awakens was released in 2015. There's that huge gap of no Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that without the sequels, that the Star Wars would even be like brought about today with all of the TV shows like The
Yes.
Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and
Yes.
all that, even without the sequels? You do?
Yes. Clone Wars, Bad Batch. As soon as Disney bought Star Wars, they had all of this starting to
I mean
develop at the
that's
same
what I
time.
was gonna say. Like, is Disney buying Star Wars? Because I don't think if Disney bought Star Wars, I don't think they would have. I don't think Lucas would have kept going with all these projects. Maybe he would have made a
Clone Wars
movie here
probably
and
would have
there.
ended properly, and that would have been about it.
Yeah, like he had no interest in telling a sequel trilogy. Like they asked that man till he was fucking till he sold the company. Literally, they're like, "Are you making a sequel?" He's like, "No," and they kept asking him, and then he sold the company and they made it. So like that kind of shows you where like I'm sure there was ideas and people in Lucasfilms probably wanted to do it, but at the end of the day, it's fucking his baby. Well, not
Yeah.
anymore, but yeah. But to answer your question, no. If Disney didn't buy Star Wars, I'd say no.
If Disney did buy Star Wars, then yes, this stuff still would have happened, regardless if they made the sequels or not. But them not, if they didn't
Yeah,
buy Star Wars, no, I think that they would have like the Clone Wars would have ended. Maybe they would have released more TV
maybe we
shows.
would have gotten Obi-Wan show. Maybe.
Maybe we would have gotten an Obi-Wan show.
See,
But
like,
besides that,
because of that, yeah, so because of that, I feel like there's like a level of appreciation that everyone needs to have for these. Not like, even if it's very small, but just a level of appreciation for these because it really did expand Star Wars to
the
like,
only thing that I will say for the sequel trilogy is it brought more people to the franchise as a whole who like other things in it more than just the sequel trilogy. But I
mhm,
still just do not like the sequel trilogy. Like I'll give
that's
it
fair.
props because it brings new fans, and I'll always take new fans into fan bases that because I always like conversation with and different points of views. But that trilogy still ass no matter what, in my opinion. So that wouldn't change anything.
I would appreciate it if they weren't so direct with their agenda that they're trying to like what their like kind of like what their big picture is for like what they want from a movie franchise. Whether it just be like it's just not very subtle. I guess that's the best way to say it. It's like you have these characters that are just not well written. Like they can only tell like one story at a time. Like they have to tell Rey's story, so no one else gets a story. It's like at what point are we sacrificing the movie at the cost of like having a super and like they I wouldn't even say it was a strong female lead because like she was just kind of an asshole to people, like especially in Seven. I feel like she was fucking dismissive as shit to half the cast. It's like I don't know, like if you're going to go for the angle of making like a super strong like female lead, she's got to at least be relatable, also known as losing or having some sort of like adversity to fucking overcome, and she's got to like have a motive. Like, what is her motive? Like, we see her in Seven, she's like, "Oh yeah, I just want to get back home," and then she just done with that. Doesn't want to go back home anymore after literally being so afraid to leave. And then after that, it kind of just gets thrown at the wayside because you have different
Yeah.
directors and stuff.
I feel like her main thing though is like her being the orphan and not knowing what happened to her parents, and I think that's the main driver for her doing
She
everything.
wants to be
But
famous.
Luke, Luke,
yeah, right, but it's not original. Like they could have
yeah,
done something better.
like that's literally Luke.
Yeah.
An orphan from fucking a sand planet who's realizing that they have a connection to the Force.
Luke. I have nothing to add because I'm just tired of hating. Hating
Hag's in
just
a
drains
mood.
me. Hating just drains me. It's like I've hated on everything. The sequels
Yeah,
are like
yeah, like I've kind of spoke my piece, and I think the movies have just had long enough to settle, where I think everyone kind of has their minds made up on how they
yeah.
feel about it. It hasn't been, I mean, it hasn't been short enough where it's like, all right, I could be persuaded that Eight is a good movie because I'll just never gonna say it is. Like I enjoy it. Like I said, it's got flashes. It has parts where like I'm legitimately like, all right, I'm in, but it's just been too long. There's been no like remedy. Like if you're gonna make an ass story like that, at least do what Game of Thrones did and make House of Dragon a fucking phenomenal TV show. It's like, all right, I can kind of swallow the season finale, the series finale of Game of Thrones now that House of Dragon is fire. It's like, all right, I got something else to kind of remind me of when it was good. But it's like for Star Wars, it's like, what am I washing down the sequel trilogy with? Obi-Wan, fucking Book of Boba Fett. Like, come on. It's like there's nothing to make me forget. Like I need something high alcohol. I need something good. It's got to be something great. Like
Balls to the wall.
it's got to be so good where it's like this is what Star Wars like. This kind of brings me back into it because up until we started covering this, I haven't watched the original trilogy or the sequel, any of the really projects that much at all because I'm kind of like I'm not really invested in Star Wars anymore. It's like what am I excited for a show that's gonna have a main character that's not the character that they used to be. The screenplay, like the dialogue, is going to be elementary at best, and there's going to be a super commercialized doll or droid or fucking one character that they introduced for the sake of selling toys. It's like that's not the Star Wars I'm interested in. Like that's kind of just the brass tacks of it.
Which is completely understandable.
I don't know if you guys had anything else. That was kind of my ending remarks.
I got nothing else to add. I'm not a fan of these. I don't plan on ever watching them again, and I'm glad that we finally have covered the Star Wars franchise. It's something I love in all these movies prior to it, but I'm glad to finally be over with it and to have to never watch or talk about these movies again because I'm just going to direct people right to this video.
But then they'll hear my good points. So
Yeah,
Fair.
you held it down. I'll give props to you because if it was just like I said, if it was just like the guys just hating, it would have been
It would have been
vulgar.
vile.
It would have gotten out of it. It would have made my life a lot harder when it came to editing too. So I appreciate that.
yeah,
Because we would have been.
work cut out
It would
for
have
me.
been. Yeah, so it makes it so much easier to edit now that I don't have three guys screaming at the top of their lungs about how much they hate the sequels. We had a little bit more of a moderator in here. Needed that.
But we appreciate you joining us, and of course, you're always welcome to come back again.
Will do.
I was just gonna say, Hag, if you want to freaking do the thing, do the do.
Sure. So, of course, thank you guys for joining us on this wonderful journey that is the Star Wars franchise. Like I said, we're glad we took it. It's good to be over. So, but of course, next week we're back to our normal stuff where we will be tackling Zombieland. However, in the next coming weeks, we are going to be taking probably a little bit of a break as with summer coming up and a lot of things changing, there's going to be, you know, some switch ups happening. So we'll keep you guys more informed of that as the weeks come along and as we actually know when that break is going to happen. And of course, we are going to be another thing we wanted to mention is we're going to be switching up how we do some of this as well. And instead of doing movies, we're going to introduce new topics. So we do want to hear from you guys what you want us to talk about, whether it's music, video games, just whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So of course, as usual, follow us on Instagram at the Staincast. Turn on post notifications. Stay tuned for the question of the week and the teaser to be posted this Saturday. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, leave a review on Spotify and Apple Music, and we'll see you guys next week for Zombieland.